We're on. All right. What's up, Hoopers? It's Coach Seb here again. I'm here with a special episode of Parents and Athletes. We got 10-year veteran Timmy Coenraad here. He's also a 3-on-3 champion and a two-time ABA champion. And bit of a special one too today because Tim and I grew up playing together. Spent thousands of hours on the court together at the same time and in games. He's got a lot of knowledge to share to the younger generation who are going up and perhaps want to make basketball their career or want to go and play college or just want to improve their status at school and move up a level. We're just going to be talking about mainly the influence of his parents, what his parents instilled in him in a young age that he's still using at this particular part of his career, and how he's been able to apply that and be able to take everything that he's doing on a daily basis and be able to push for his best every single year. So Timmy, I've seen you pretty much from your early days in the under 12s. How was it as a kid from two parents that were a little bit different backgrounds? I know your dad was a cycler. Your mum did a little bit of sport too as well.
Yeah, mum was she was almost an Olympic swimmer when she was younger.
Oh wow.
She got out of that. Some personal issues and ended up getting out of that. But yeah, like both my parents were one, they were honest. Which was a big thing. They didn't really do too much in terms of the technical of the sport, and they didn't really understand basketball too much. They played it. But just the work ethic from my dad, because I know my dad was always up early in the mornings going on runs. And stuff, putting in the work, and he was a pretty high-level soccer player when he was younger, and then got into cycling later on. But it was just their honesty and the work ethic. And saying like what it takes, and Dad was always into his health and and trying to keep in the best shape he can. So that helped, I guess, from looking after your body.
Yeah. And what about when it came down to when you really wanted to play basketball seriously and wanted to make rep teams and things like that? What kind of things did you take from them in terms of putting in the work required, but also still enjoying the game and still making it fun?
Yeah, it does come with a bit of a balancing act, especially. Because at the end of the day, basketball is a sport, so you're trying to have fun, and when it's flowing and when you're in a good team and a good feel, it is fun. But I've probably found out, more than most, that it can become work sometimes. When you're having a rough part of the season, you're having a shooting slump, when everything just seems a bit more forced, and you're trying to get back on track, and it definitely becomes work. But at the heart of it, the reason why I've been, obviously wanted to keep playing professional basketball is you're playing a sport and you're making a living doing it. So really just from my parents, what I got was that hard work. You're putting in the time, and I've one of the quotes that stuck with me for a while from Magic Johnson was, "What you give to the game gives back to you." So I've always thought of it that way, and I'll know that if I'm giving the game everything, then it's usually going to give me some of that.
Awesome. And what about some times during your junior career where obviously you're putting in 100% effort, trying any angle you can to try and get better on the court? You obviously got told no quite a few different times, and I even remember a couple of situations where you and I were in the same boat and both got told no, and I remember in under 18s we were put in the second team as bottom age, and some of those situations happen with kids today, and what seems to be the culture going on is parents will then try and move their child to another association to try and get in the top team because they feel they deserve that chance. And in some cases it may be true, may not be true, but I feel like in that particular situation we just had to stick it out and really try your best and just put the work in and show you had a good attitude, and then try and work your way into the top spot.
No, I think what you said hit the nail on the head. Like a lot of, I have seen it before where people they don't think they're getting the time. So, parenting's a tough job. You want the best for your kids, but you also want to instill work ethic. And I feel like if they get put in the second team like you and me did, and then we had to work our way through that second team back up to the first team, I feel like that's a good life lesson. You know what I mean? That's sometimes you're not always going to get dealt the hand that you want, but what are you going to do? Are you going to pack up shop and leave, or are you going to work it out? Something that you're passionate about, like we were passionate about basketball. Are you going to stick and do the work and listen to the coach and do whatever you can to make that first team, or are you just going to move associations? It's a fine line sometimes, but I mean, I think what's important as parents is that you've got to you have to instill that work ethic, because life really doesn't give you too much for free these days. Some people obviously have a better hand than others when
Absolutely.
it comes to where they're born and stuff, but life's not going to give you too much, and if you learn how to work for what you get, and that there's a sense of honesty in that, and a sense of like fulfillment when what you have, I wasn't getting anything from my parents. I didn't get any money when I was younger. One of my first year, me and my wife slept on a mattress on the floor. We didn't have any furniture.
Wow.
It was a little small house, and we built our way, and I kept working, and she was working, and we had to start from the bottom. I was getting paid close to minimum wage my first couple of years.
Yeah.
I had to work my way up through it, and to a point where we can live relatively comfortably now, and know that I've got at least something behind it.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling just to have that. I feel like that, not that it's a bad thing to have a lot of money when you're young, because it can help with a lot of things, but I feel like that any person that starts out should always start at the bottom, because then they can appreciate, and everything that they get later on in life just tastes a bit sweeter, because they know what it's like not to have it.
Awesome.
If you're just giving stuff all the time, just giving stuff, everything starts to lose its flavour a little bit. So I feel like going back to basketball, we had to work for that spot, and I guess it showed us that when we can push and when we drive, it really can take us to better places than we're going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that we're well aware of basketball just being a game, but I think it's clear to see that many times throughout your life and basketball career that there's a lot of things that are outside of your control. And those are things you have to accept, and it's I think it's my personal opinion, it's one of the hallmarks of your career that you've had to be able to pursue an end where there's not really an end in sight, and not really have to worry about things that are outside your control, and just have faith in the process and to keep working and whatever's right in front of you. Do you say that's translated to how you live your life off the court now as a person, now that you've gotten older and you're a dad as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think what happens in life definitely shapes us the way it kind of pans out. So I mean, growing up, I never made first teams. I didn't make my first state team until bottom age 18.
Yeah.
And I was, after my journey through the Junior Basketball Association, never making a state team until I was 16.
Yeah.
Never really being looked at for any teams under that. And I got rejected from the AIS. They told me to apply, and I got a letter saying no thanks. I tried to go to college, and I got rejected from about 5 different schools before I finally found someone that was going to take a chance on me. Yeah. And then when I came out, had a good college career, worked my tail off in a college career. Like, that's probably the hardest I've worked since becoming a professional. That's definitely opens your eyes a little bit. Yeah. And then I come back and I try out for Gold Coast, and I don't make that spot. I get a call from Cairns saying that I'm not ready to play NBL. I get Brisbane wasn't in the league back then, so I didn't get that opportunity. Yeah. And then the Hawks didn't want to take me at the start, but then I flew myself down there. Yeah. I used my own money to go and train with them for a week, and it worked out. I've been told no so many times. But the thing is, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to play professional basketball, and now I've had it's my 11th season playing professional ball, and I feel like if those things hadn't happened to me earlier and I just had to quit, then maybe I'd be leading a different life, and one that I'm not as happy with. I wouldn't have, my wife Nellie, I wouldn't have David Tyson right now, and life might be a lot different. Yeah, that's right. And myself being a coach, it's always hard to compare generations, because the world is a completely different place than the one we grew up in. And especially the way that we are able to interact with young kids and players these days. There has to be a little bit more of a different approach to kids that really want to have that goal of playing professional basketball, and they might be a little bit sensitive about their game. They feel like they might be putting the work in their own opinion. What's your opinion about kids and younger players these days? Obviously, you're in a mentor role now with younger players that have reached that particular level. What do you think is a universal piece of advice that you can give to any kid that really believes in their ability, but also needs to find that level where they're satisfied and they can say, like, yep, I've given it my all, and I really think that I need to stick it out in this particular position, or where I'm at, or do I really have the mentality it takes, or the drive that it takes to really push at this every single day, which is what you do. You get up sometimes in the morning and you probably don't feel like practicing sometimes. A lot of kids these days, if they want to make it their career, they probably don't factor in that they're going to be doing this every day, in terms of sometimes they don't really want to do it.
they might burn out. What do you think about that?
I think one of the hardest things as a coach, and I'm doing some individual coaching now, and like you know as a basketball player when you see some kids when they get to that like 13, 14, 15 year age and they don't have that feel for the game. That's really hard to teach. It's hard to look them in the eye and say, look, I don't think you're going to make it. Sometimes, if people hadn't have told me that, maybe I wouldn't have made it. Maybe I wouldn't have had the motivation. It's a really fine line as a coach. All you can do is just keep encouraging them and keep, say, I always tell them, you're working hard right now, right? You're working your tail off. You're doing a great job working as hard as you can. You may not make professional basketball. It's a very, I think there's, from memory, I think there's about 70 Australian spots in the NBL.
Wow, yeah.
So if you look at it that way, there's 70 Australians playing in Australia. It might be more or less, around that number, but what you're doing is you're learning to work hard and put the work in, and that's not just for sport. That just teaches that needs in sport. You take that to whatever you do. If you take it to the job that you get the first time you're out. There's a lot of success stories of people that have started from the bottom and just worked their way through the ranks. That happens all the time. I know some of my friends have done that now. They started off as a grunt, doing all the delivering mail, making coffees, that sort of stuff. And now I come see them when I come back to Brisbane, and they're one of the managers of the company. It's team sports aren't just about being the best all the time. It's not always about winning. Team sports teaches how to work with people, how to deal with people that you may not necessarily like, and those are life skills that are invaluable. I mean, not everyone loves everyone.
That's right. No, absolutely.
You might go into a work situation with a co-worker that you really don't get along with, but you have to have a working relationship. I haven't liked all of my teammates, but I have to find a way to work with them on the court for the success of other people. So it's really just about, you're always going to be real with the people that you coach and say, look, hey, it might not be a professional career, but what you're doing right now, well, one, you're being active, you're being healthy, which is great. I'm trying to teach you that work ethic, and you can see that they always do improve. So you can see that work leads to improvement. It's just sometimes that doesn't work out to a professional career, and I think that's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay if that doesn't happen, because at the end of the day, I think as players, if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I gave it everything and I came up short, sometimes that's just going to hard pill to swallow, but sometimes that's the best you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I totally agree with that, and I think you're a perfect example of someone who's applied that in every other area of their life, and like you said, there's no real losing if you adapt that attitude and really just try and deal with whatever comes up with you in the moment, and use every resource that you have and experience that you have to try and do the best you can in that particular moment. And then things, I'm sure you're a perfect example too of someone that's put in work, and then things have come out of left field that you didn't expect as well, and it was the only result of you kept knocking on the door and banging on the door. And it's also led to something that you're doing off the court as well with nutrition, and you've got your kids camps going now. How does what you've learned in your basketball career and being a professional athlete and taking care of yourself on a daily basis led you into your work off the court and being passionate about that area of the game? Is that something you want to do after your career is finished?
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, I felt really passionate about nutrition, and nutrition's a subject right now that's really hard to crack, because obviously there's a lot of opinions about what you should be doing right now. But look, nonetheless, it was a passion of mine, because probably about 4 years into my career, I was experiencing horrible pains in my knees and my feet. And I saw guys that are the older players in the team were taking anti-inflammatories before practice. I thought that was just the thing you're supposed to do. So I started taking anti-inflammatories, and then the dosage eventually goes up and up and up and up. And I'm like, well, this shouldn't be the right way to go. All of a sudden I'm taking all these anti-inflammatories, I'm still feeling sore. It was just by chance, one of my mates who owns a gym said to me, well, have you looked at what you eat? And I know I was always at the old school approach of what we grew up. You eat as much carbs and as much pasta and rice and all that as you can. So you carb load and all that. All these, and then when I started changing the way I ate, I noticed after a while, I'm like, hang on, my knees and my feet don't feel as bad anymore. I started just feeling the difference, and I felt like I was aging backwards for a while.
Wow,
Like I went from being a guy that had to warm up foam roll, stretch for like half an hour before practice before I could get going.
Yeah.
Now I can get out on the court, do a few stretches, up and downs, and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I'm 34. I feel better than I did when I was 24.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's this is your tool when you're a professional athlete.
Yeah.
If you're a carpenter and your tools don't work, you're not going to get the job done.
Yeah.
The body is your tool as a professional athlete. You've got to keep it as sharp as you can.
Yeah.
And that includes what you put in your body.
Yeah.
And it also includes what you do with your strength and conditioning, your mobility, all that sort of stuff. But I think nutrition plays a bigger role than people think, and that's the kind of, not only if you're just a professional athlete, but teaching a good relationship with food is just good in general. It's one of the things that people struggle with these days, because we have just so much access to all this food that's so tasty. So I'm obviously you can tell I'm pretty passionate about the subject. So right there, because I could go for days.
That's right.
It is important what you put inside your body. Full stop.
And I think it's fair to say, you your mentality as an athlete, and part of the reason you've reached this level of sustained success is your ability to go down any avenue that might bring you improvement or make yourself better. And that's something I think you can apply to any area in your life. But just going back to one specific that I'm interested in anyway, what you were just saying, you hunted down a diet and a way of eating that was suited you, and I think that would probably be the best advice to give a lot of players, because I think I've been a personal trainer for many years, and I've learned that very rarely can you use an umbrella approach for anyone, and it's got to be very specific to the person. And I think you said, I saw you have on your Twitter handle that you don't eat carbs, or you're a very low carb athlete. Is that something that's a main thing that's definitely taken out of your diet that's helped you prolong your career? Yeah,
it's been a fine tuning sort of process. I mean, I know that before I started this journey, when I was pretty much, my staples were pasta, bread, rice, all those kind of foods that we were taught to eat a lot of. When I started removing those things, I started to feel better, and I started to have more energy, and that was kind of against what the narrative was. Then I see the dietitian, and she's saying, you need to eat more carbs, and I'm like, well, but I feel really good right now. I'm gonna keep pushing this until I might hit a breaking point where I have zero energy, but that never happened. I think it may not be for everyone. I know what you mean. There's no umbrella approach. I think some people work better. There's a lot of different strategies, and I think you have to be your own experiment, so to speak. You've got to try what works. You've got to see what works. You have to get certain staple food. I think the one that we know we need to get is protein. That's probably a non-negotiable as an athlete. But apart from that, there's a lot of people that work like myself that work really low carb. I don't eat very many carbs at all. And I feel better than I did when I was carb loading. And I feel like I've got more energy, and I can jump higher and probably run faster now. At 34 than I could when I was younger.
That's amazing.
So I'm going to keep doing what works with me, but as an athlete, you've got to think, because food's something that we interact with every day. Of course, it's having an effect on what we do. So as an athlete, I think you need to test the boundaries. You need to use yourself to experiment, do something for a couple of months, test how you feel. Do I feel better? Do I have more energy? And then just keep going on that path. If something's not working, work with a nutritionist or dietitian. Because I think I heard, I looked at LeBron James. He's like the pinnacle of basketball. The guy spends over $1 million a year on his own body. And he does that for a reason. He's invested in this.
Absolutely.
He has people that telling him what to do, and you should do the same as an athlete in general.
Cool. One final area I wanted to touch on. You've played this game basically your whole life. You've met so many people. I'm sure you've made some really close contacts. I'm sure I'll be right in suggesting that maybe basketball's opened up so many doors for you that are away from the game of basketball just by networking. How do you think it's really important to be able to think about the way that you're presenting yourself around the game of basketball, and in terms of how you deal with your officials, teammates, coaches, not burning bridges? Obviously, it's a competitive sport, so sometimes there's a lot of emotion involved, and there's always going to be disagreements about the way things are done. But obviously, basketball's a big passion in your life, and do you see yourself continuing on with basketball when you retire as a result of the way you conducted yourself in your career and as well as in your club and in your community?
Yeah, well, I mean, the one thing I try and tell the new imports that come in is that, you know, this is like Illawarra is a pretty cool place, and it's a very small place. You know, like it's not a Melbourne, it's not a Sydney, it's not a big city. You know, if you come in here and at the very least you do all the right things off the court, Illawarra is going to want to keep you no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got to be smart about it. Too many imports have come in and kind of, you know, haven't done the right thing off the court, and then like it's just you burn bridges that you don't need to. You're doing things that are making people upset that you can easily fix. You know what I mean? It's just there's no use to have someone that doesn't like you.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely,
I mean? Yeah. And I'm always the person that's going to look at myself first and try and think, what can I do better?
Yeah.
And, you know, you just try your best to be. Just because I'm a professional basketball player does not give me any entitlement whatsoever. You know, I try and treat everyone the exact same way. It's pretty much how I want to be treated. You never think that you're owed anything. Never think that you're better than someone else, because that's just not the case. That's the main thing, is that I want to be around good human beings, and I want to be around people that celebrate each other's success. That I like teammates that no matter what happens, they've got my back. They're always there to pick me up. I mean, at the end of the day, honestly, over my career, I'd rather lose with a bunch of guys that would go to war each game for me and have each other's back more than anything, than win on a team where everyone hates each other and everyone's stab me. But that's just...
You've had a bit of both, obviously, in your career.
I've had a bit of both. I've had teams like a team where we made the grand final about 4 years ago, I want to say now, was like those guys on the team, like the Mitch Nortons, Nick Kays, good guys. You know, like guys on that team, you'd go to war with. And guys that are still here now as well. Like, these guys are, they're good guys, and I've had, it was a great season to play. We weren't predicted to win anything. And that's Illawarra, we never asked.
That's right.
But like I said, man, you make relationships through this thing, and I, to be honest with myself, I probably haven't done as good a job as I wanted. You know what I mean? And that's just something that you look back on and you try, and you can't change the past. You got to keep moving forward. You got to keep looking at what's in front of you. And I think for me, like I said, there's no use having someone that doesn't like you. The time that you invest in other people, most of the time they'll invest it back.
Cool, awesome, man. And just one final thing, coming off of what you were just saying, do you feel that obviously what you just said is a mindset and the way you approach the game, and obviously you love the game and you treat it with a certain measure of respect, and I think it's clear to see someone like has had a career like yours and has played not only the NBL but also gone down and played QBL level. You don't really ever feel like it's a step down, because you're always approaching the game in the same way, and you're treating every opponent with respect, and you're bringing 100% every game. Do you find that you see some players that have come over and perhaps had the opposite attitude, and they've maybe adjusted they might be extremely talented and a very dominating player, but you can see clearly that they've adjusted their attitude, and probably haven't had what we were talking about in terms of playing and treating every single level of basketball with the same level of respect to try and get your best out and try and be the best for your own team.
Definitely. I mean, if a lot of guys that come in and new to the NBL, they don't really see the Australian League as being top level, and especially when we were back maybe 4 years ago, before that era. If I can quote Homicide, this isn't a cupcake league. A lot of guys have come in here thinking that they're going to have a holiday, they're going to be in Australia. I'm in Illawarra, I'm on the beach, you beauty, I'm just going to come in here, get my 20 and 10 in the league. It doesn't work out very well. This is a tough league, and it's been like that for a long time now. And as you can see in the last 4 or 5 years, with the new management taking over, it is only going up. And now it's finally, I think now we can see it, probably the last couple of years, as a league that is maybe top 3 in the league, maybe even top 2. So I think you've got a good chance. It's a good opportunity to come to Australia. There's a lot of eyes on it now, but anyone that comes in, Australian or imported, you need to know that this league's for real. And if you don't put in the work, and if you don't scout, you don't look at other players' tendencies, you don't try and improve on your own game, game, this league will chew you up and spit you out. I'm not the most skilled guy in the world. I don't have a sick handle. I'm not that. I know what my skills are. I know what my own skill set is, and I try and work as best as I can within that. So, like I said, the things before, just being a good person off the court, showing up for things on time, doing community engagement stuff where you're actually engaging with the kids, not feeling like you shouldn't be there or anything like that. These things are so little, but they mean so much in terms of these teams, because it just promotes your stock. And when guys come in and they feel like they're entitled and they don't need to do certain things, it can be a grind during the season sometimes, but there's no use showing up to something and not giving it your all, because you never know what opportunity is going to come at it. You never know who's watching. You never know who's
Absolutely.
And more importantly, you just want to do it because it just promotes other people. I always thought, I said to this a bunch of coaches one time, I still take things from coaches. There's a few things that I've taken from coaches when I was younger that I still remember today, and not all of them are positive. And as a coach, you never know at one point you're going to say something that a kid's going to take away from the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
That's why I think coaches have a big responsibility.
Absolutely,
you know? So that one thing you say to that kid, it could go one or two ways. You could destroy that, or you can take it as motivation. But I mean, I think coaches have probably a bigger job than they think, because they're teaching youth. And I think if you can, so it's not always an easy job, but at the end of the day, like you said, you're never going to know. You're going to say something that the kid's just going to take away and forget.
Absolutely. And just one more question about, I'm sure some of the people who are going to watch this interview would want me to ask you about a player like LaMelo. Obviously, raising the profile of the NBL and the basketball in this country, but obviously he's a 1 in a million kind of player in that he's 18. He's playing the level he has at like you said, it's one of the top 3 leagues in the world. What is your advice to some kids who look at a player like that and make it look so easy? You're coming over here playing against grown professionals who are defensive specialists playing in international leagues all over the world. He still puts in the work, and he's got a certain attitude towards his training. Do you feel that has allowed him to reach the level that he's at such a young age?
Yeah, I think he was born and bred around basketball. He's been had a lot of people that know what they're talking about teach him from a very young age. So he's a bit of a unique case. It's almost like you see the social media side, but then you see LaMelo in person. It's like, this is a fun kid to be around. This is an 18-year-old kid. What impressed me most about Melo was his development through his time with us, because at the start we all thought a few questionable shots, these really weird passes that he was throwing. But over time he really developed and really found out and really trusted the process and listened to a lot of guys. That's one thing, he listens. A lot of people don't think he listens, but he is. And he got so much better in the short time that he was here, just in terms of the structure and the defense and scouting. And I think, I only know Melo as a player. I mean, he's 18, I'm 34. We don't have a lot in common.
So,
as a kid, he was great. It was great to play with him. He's obviously an amazing talent. So his passing ability is second to none. But it's what I was most impressed of was just his approach to the game. He's got a lot going on, man. There's a lot that I don't understand that goes on into the NBA and controlling the narrative about what's said. But if I can say one thing about Melo, is that he was willing to learn. He never got rattled, which is pretty impressive for an 18-year-old kid. And he developed the way that the team wanted him to. It's unfortunate that he got injured, because I feel like he was really hitting his stride. Whatever he has next for him, I know he's going to go top 3. Probably whatever's next for him, I'm sure he's going to have a lot of good people telling him the right things, and hopefully he can still find time to be a kid.
That's right. I think one thing as an outsider can see anyway is go back to what we were talking about before, is that he is heavily influenced by his parents. Obviously his dad's, they're not going to find a lot of dads that have the level of knowledge and commitment his dad does, but his level of professionalism as an 18-year-old is extremely rare. But I think it's something that can be applicable to any player that's wanting to improve, and no matter how good you are in your team, there's still another level that you can go to, and being open to your teammates and coaches and being able to find any avenue to improve is something I think you could probably attest to that in that particular scenario. Right, Timmy Coenraad. It's been real, brother.
Yeah, appreciate
And good luck for the rest of the season. And I'm looking forward to watching you play down there tomorrow. Hoping you guys get up over the Bullets, even though some of the people who might watch this might be some Bullets fans. But
we need one.
yeah,
We need one.
yeah. All right, here we go, Hoopers. It's Timmy Coenraad.
Thanks, boys.
All right, thanks for that, bro.
No worries, man.
Appreciate it, man.
my
It was good fun.
Hopefully it works out, man. I think it's cool what he's doing these days, man. Oh, we didn't grow up with social media.
Well, that's pretty much what I was motivated by, man. It's just like there's so much that's available now that we didn't have. Like we were just even just like YouTube videos about training methods.
Well, that's
like
what
that,
funny you mentioned that.